Hi, cities. How are you doing? Welcome to Nine. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. So, coming across videos of white leftists, black leftists, say blaming black people over nothing is crazy. Now, you all can see what is going on in Gaza. And sincerely speaking, my heart goes out to the people that are in Gaza, not all this pro-Palestinian movement that do not know their left from the right, because like they claim that they are into politics. If you all had known politics very well, you would know that Justin wasn't going to do anything good for you, and Joe Biden, sorry, and Mr. Orange also wasn't going to help. The only help that would have come for you would have been Kamala Harris because she understands. But you all wanted her to do president job when she was the vice president and blame her for literally everything going on in Gaza. Not just only blaming her, you all blame black people too. And I am going to ask, how did black people become the problem? Because sometimes if you sit down and check how all these things started, I really do not know where black people went wrong. But I think the only wrong they did was trying to help ungrateful people. But I know it is not like, the people in Gaza, but it is all these ungrateful people that are on the internet parading themselves as pro-Palestinians that cannot even save themselves. Their community is on fire. They cannot save their community, but they are looking for people to save. So how do you save people when you are not yet saved? That is another thing. But I am going to say this. Enough of you all coming. Like, I see you people coming to tell black people what to do, but you all are not calling your own community out to do something, but only black people. Let's get into.
So a couple of days ago, I made a video, I don't even think it's been 2 weeks, where I said I found it odd that internet leftists were applauding MAGA because they believed that MAGA was standing in solidarity with them for causes that MAGA clearly doesn't care about, nor is MAGA in solidarity with them for said causes. And I said in that video that I found it odd that people were applauding Trump because of what they perceive as him separating himself from Israel, when that's not what he's doing. He's shopping. He's shopping for places to send people. Now, I thought that it just meant the migrants that were here in the United States, that he was looking for a place to send these migrants that would ignore the fact that these migrants hadn't received due process because he can't send them to El Salvador anymore. But it turns out that the Trump administration is, starting that rollout of Trump Gaza. Trump administration working on a plan to move 1 million Palestinians to Libya. Now, I said, again, I wanted to reiterate this point, again, that I find it odd that a lot of internet leftists, these full revolutionary leftists, aren't talking about things like this. And they're also not talking about things like this. They have completely moved on from Gaza because it doesn't garner the likes and views that they're so used to when they're talking about this topic. They realize their new niche is criticizing the libs and the Dems. That's their whole thing now because they never cared about Gaza, really. They just used it as a means to criticize the Dems and the libs. And when it no longer got the likes and the views to talk about this subject matter because Joe Biden is not in office anymore, they're not critical of the administration anymore. They're pretending that Trump is not doing the things that he's doing, like deporting pro-Palestine protesters, like looking for places, shopping around the Middle East and North Africa to send Palestinians and those migrants here in the United States to these countries that don't give a fuck that they weren't afforded due process. Now, the Supreme Court yesterday, to my surprise, blocked the Trump administration from restarting the Alien Enemies Act deportation. It was this act that Trump was using to deport the migrants here in the United States without affording them due process. But these people, they're not protected. Trump views them as stateless, which is why in that interview with Netanyahu, he said that the United States was going to take control of Gaza. They're going to own it. He also said that he didn't have to pay for it because there's nothing there, as if people aren't there. And then shared a video about Trump Gaza. Now, I continue to say, and I said this in the video that I posted not even 2 weeks ago, if you think that Trump is going to move on from Trump Gaza when his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has been looking at Gaza as prime real estate for decades now, you are delusional. You're delusional. But hey, I'm pretty sure the internet leftists, that are ignoring the fact that Palestinians in Gaza are being starved, during the Trump administration and they're not calling out Donald Trump, I'm sure you guys are going to talk about this eventually someday. You'll talk about this and you'll stop talking about the Dems and the Libs, won't you? Yeah, exactly. The advice I want to give to the liberals, the Dems, the Kamala supporters is what I consistently have given you: to stop engaging with these people. Internet leftists don't even vote for the Democrats. They will never vote for the Democrats. You are in essence wasting your time and your breath going back and forth with these people. They don't care about facts. They don't care about reality. All they care about is the theory that they read somewhere. And if you're not in line with that theory that they have 100%, they don't view you as being in community with them, because they're not trying to coalition build. They're trying to have a litmus test to determine who they can have in their circle. And that is a failure in the political sphere when it comes to coalition building, because everybody isn't going to agree with you on everything. That's a cult. Like the Republicans with their litmus test, the Reagan 11th commandment, you can't have any dispute or debate in their circles, because every single argument that they make is black and white, and they don't want nuance in that conversation, because nuance challenges what they think. Nuance provides too much detail, and they don't like nuance in a world that is filled with nuance. So you're dealing with unreasonable people as someone that occupied that space for a short amount of time. You're dealing with people that don't want to have a reasonable conversation with you, a reasonable discussion with you, a reasonable debate with you. They just want to gaslight you. So continue to block and delete their comments. It's like purging negativity from your space when it comes to them, because once you leave that argument behind and you start basically not giving a fuck what they have to say, you can look at their comments every time they comment on your video, chuckle, delete, and block, because they have consistently shown us that they don't actually give a fuck about things that matter. I know I'm not the only one that gets upset when a white leftist drops down into my comment section and tries to tell me as a black man what I need to do. Don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me, because you are going to get cursed the fuck out. Because I know you bitches aren't talking to white people the way you're talking to us. The way you're disrespecting us, the way you're trying to lecture us. You're not doing that with white people. If you actually wanted to fix things, you would be talking to white people. You wouldn't even be wasting your time with us. Why do you think Bernie is doing these Stop the Oligarchy tours in predominantly white areas? I literally had to explain this to people. I said, Bernie's doing exactly what we want you guys to do. We want you guys to actually start talking to white people. Stop talking at us and talk to white people. As much as I am critical of a lot of Bernie supporters, I understand what Bernie and AOC are doing, because we have consistently said, stop talking to us, because we're not the problem. White people are the problem. So what Bernie's doing with the Stop the Oligarchy tour is he's focusing on these predominantly white areas where he could actually sway these people or get them to understand how they are contributing to what's happening in this country and around the world. 99.9999999% of the problems in this world can be directly traced back to white supremacy and white imperialism. So why the fuck are you talking to black people? Specifically African Americans and Afro-Caribbean peoples that were brought to this area as literal fucking property. Bitch, we know. We fucking know. Why are you talking to us? Why are you telling us what we need to do? We already know what needs to be done. You need to be talking to people that look like you. I've consistently said that white internet leftists can't tell me a fucking thing about what needs to be done to dismantle systems of oppression, because a lot of you don't actually want to do that. You want to figure out a way to exploit it. And if you didn't have to deal with racism, specifically anti-blackness, because a lot of you are racist and anti-black, you would never deal with it. You would never want to dismantle those systems because you understand how you particularly benefit from it as a white person. So I don't trust you guys trying to lecture me about what my revolutionary ancestors or our revolutionary leaders would have said, specifically being that we actually have people that lived that life, that told us firsthand accounts of it. I just find it odd that you guys don't see it. You don't do this to any other group except for black people. You would never ever tell Jewish people what their lived experience is, specifically when it pertains to the Holocaust. You would never tell Palestinians about what's happening to them and their lived experience in Palestine, specifically what's happening to them right now. You only do it to black people, and you expect for us not to see your anti-blackness. Bitch, get the fuck out of my comments. So if you're seeing these internet leftists that are, consistently bashing the libs and the Dems, and before the election, they were consistently talking about Gaza, and now they are focusing their content on just bashing the libs and the Dems. They never cared about Gaza. They never cared about what's happening to Palestinians in that region. They jumped onto that movement, colonized it, because they wanted to appear as if they were good people, and they simply are not. It's almost as if when Kamala Harris lost the election and Joe Biden is no longer in the White House, what they believed about that region, the passion that they had, speaking out on what was specifically happening to those people, just disappeared. They no longer do content specifically talking about what the administration is doing to those people in that region. Now, what they do and what they have continued to do is bash the libs, bash the Dems, and ignore what's happening to those people in the region, which should tell you that their whole agenda is bashing the Dems, bashing the libs, and not what's happening to those people over there. Because if their agenda was focused on what's happening to those people over there, their criticism of what the Trump administration is allowing to be done would be at a fever pitch, but it's not. So yesterday, the Israeli government struck a European-run hospital in northern Gaza. 48 people died in the strike, and I find it odd that none of these internet leftists, these large internet leftist platforms, are talking about this. None of them are talking about this. Most assuredly, the missiles that were used in this strike came from the United States government by way of Donald Trump. I also find it odd that none of you are talking about this. 1 in 5 people in Gaza are starving, and it's only getting worse. For the past 2 months in Gaza, not one bit of aid has been able to make it through. Not one bit of aid in the past 2 months has been able to make it through. It's almost as if when Biden left the White House and Kamala Harris lost the election, these specific issues no longer matter to these people. They only shifted to bashing the libs and the Dems. And it's not just in Gaza. The West Bank is seeing escalations of violence, and particularly settler violence in the West Bank. Do you know why this is happening? Do you understand why this is happening? Internet leftists that love to pretend that you care so much about these people. Well, on day one, as promised, Donald Trump got rid of Executive Order 14115. This executive order was signed by Biden on February 1st of 2024. It provided Palestinians in the West Bank with the only avenue of justice to seek some sort of justice from the State Department, specifically when it comes to settler violence in the West Bank. On day one, as promised, Trump got rid of this executive action. He got rid of the only avenue of justice that Palestinians had to seek from the United States government that sanctioned these Israeli settlers that were targeting Palestinian families in the West Bank. As much as you guys want to pretend that Trump is moving away from Israel, he's not. Trump is still very loyal to what the Israeli government wants to do. He is the only president of the United States that has a literal fucking village named after him in an occupied region of the Golan Heights. He gets no money from this. This was just a vanity project that Netanyahu gave him. But Trump wants more than that. Trump wants Trump Gaza. Remember the video he posted? I'll show you.
Tunnels coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
Exactly. If you think that man is going to move on from that, and Netanyahu, who was in a press conference with him, reaffirming that this was a great idea, that the United States take over Gaza and control it, and Trump basically saying that they don't have to buy anything because there's nothing there. If you think that man, Mr. Trump Heights, is going to move on from that, you live in a world of delusion. If you think that man, Mr. Trump Heights, Mr. Trump Gaza, is going to prioritize or even remotely think about the best interest of the Palestinian people, you are delusional. You see, there's a reason why the overwhelming majority of Israelis, meaning more than 60%, almost 70% of them, prefer Donald Trump over Kamala Harris in the last election. It's because they pay attention to trends. They notice that once upon a time, the Democratic Party was more likely to support the Israeli government no matter what happened. And now the trend is showing that the Israeli government's popularity amongst Democratic voters, and politicians will ultimately feel this, is extremely, extremely down, like 21% approval. Whereas with Republican voters, it's completely flipped. It went from 20% because, anti-Semitism, to rising to nearly 60%, because of xenophobia towards Arabs, Muslims, and specifically Palestinians. They know our political theater better than we know it. They know exactly who's going to give them optimal support, which is why they support people like Donald Trump, because they know that even if Donald Trump pretends, and he's doing this, he's pretending with you guys to care about what's happening to Palestinians in Gaza, he can still be bought and paid for by special interest groups that dehumanize Palestinians on a near daily basis. I'm going to talk specifically to the Palestinians at the end of this video because I genuinely don't care about anyone else. The other people, they don't really have a vested interest in this region. They don't have family members that they're losing. But these internet leftists, the fact that they're not talking about you right now and they are wasting their time bashing the Dems and the libs should tell you that they don't actually care about you. These people have colonized your cause and they use your cause to be anti-black, to attack black people specifically black people that have stood in solidarity with you. And now these same people are not talking about what's happening to you currently under the administration of Donald Trump. They are wasting their time attacking people that don't have the power to do anything, that don't have the political capital to even remotely stop things that are happening to you in the United States, where Palestinian pro-Palestine protesters are being literally deported, that are here legally on student visas, that are being deported just for having the audacity to speak out for what's happening to your people. Black people, we don't believe that either party can save us, but we understand the need to vote using risk analysis because we always understand that there's at least one party that's going to make it worse for us. There's always one party that won't give us a fighting chance. Republicans don't want to give you a fighting chance. And if you look at the trends in the Democratic Party, specifically when it comes to the voting bloc, you have more support amongst Democratic voters than you do Republicans. And a lot of these leftists, these anarchists, they don't want you to see that. They want you to see both sides as the enemy. And when your movement no longer gets the support, no longer garners the clicks and views that they're so used to bashing the Dems and utilizing your movement to do that, they're going to move on to the next cause to colonize, because these people are cause colonizers. The kafirs and the chop bangs will disappear because your movement no longer garners the clicks and views to even remotely get them to speak on it, which should tell you that these people are not good people. Look at any of these people, Blakely, Moschino Dorito, all of these different white internet leftists that are no longer talking about what's happening to you. They're devoting their content to bashing the libs and the Dems. What's happening to you currently under the Trump administration no longer matters to them. They get more support, more clicks, more likes, more views. Not talking about you, but bashing the libs. That should tell you that you are disposable to them. And when they find the next cause to colonize, you will be forgotten. You need to wake up.
This is all I got from this video. And one thing I'm going to say is that I really do feel bad for the people that are in Gaza at this point in time, because as today, I saw so many videos like there is no food, there is no water, no electricity, nothing as I speak to you in Gaza as at today, right? And all these internet leftists are still busy blaming my people for what is going on in Gaza when they are supposed to blame this present administration as it stands, because you all can hear the things the administration is already doing, right? So why and how are Black people the problem at this point in time? Because this make sense. Now you all are still busy calling Black people names and blaming the last administration. But presently, I am not seeing them call the president or blame the vice president. So what? Why are you people calling Black people to why? What right do you have as a white or Black leftist to call Black people out for what? To help you do what? This is actually BS. And you see, leftists, they do not count. On a serious note, I see them going around for one Black person, and Khalid. Khalid is now turning into something else. He is Arab. The mother is Arab, but if you see him, you definitely phenotypically you will know where he is coming from, and he is so anti-Black. All of them, all of them. Now, tell me how you are fighting for people in Palestine, the Palestinians, right? But you are not speaking on what this administration is. So this is to tell you that these people know what they are doing. It was not about Kamala Harris. It was not Kamala Harris. Just they are just anti-Black. And the anti-Blackness is showing all over. Because at some point, they were kind of okay if Joe Biden was going to come back, right? But then he said no. And then Kamala Harris came in. And that is where the problem started. And I am also going to ask, how did Black people become the problem? Because last I checked, they voted rightly. Right. You people voted third party. That is to tell you how silly majority of you voted third party. Now my people are being blamed for your own votes. That is just crazy. I am going to draw the cut in here. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.